And they're off. In the season opener, showing good early pace in the centre, with the white face is boasting. Close up the far side, Marquetta, Lipizzaner in the purple and white. Also prominent in the early stages as they reach the end of the first furlong, boasting. And with Marquetta towards the far side, Lipizzaner close up over on the rail is the Blue Panther, tracking them. With the noseband is Poetic Flare, and widest of all is Jazz Dreamers out the back in the early stages. Forever My Girl as they head onto the halfway stage, spread across the track in the centre. Boasting with Lipizzaner. Coming there with the noseband, Poetic Flare, over towards the far side, Marquetta, and on the rail is the Blue Panther, furlong and a half to race. Poetic Flare coming there out in the centre of the course, Lipizzaner. Over on the far side is the Blue Panther, and they fight it out, Lipizzaner and Poetic Flare now inside the final furlong. Poetic Flare to stand side with the narrow advantage, Lipizzaner on the rail, back in third is the Blue Panther. 50 yards to race on the stand side, Poetic Flare will win it for Jim Bulger and Kevin Manning. Lipizzaner second, back in third the Blue Panther, and fourth spot for Forever My Girl.
Well, the top two in the market have dominated in the end. Victory goes to Poetic Flare over Lipizzaner. There wasn't much in it. Poetic Flare, though, doing just enough to get the better of things. Prince is the one I'm most looking forward to seeing. First time out on the grass after winning a Dundalk Maiden.
They're off. They break on level terms in the Group 3 Killavullan Stakes over 7 furlongs. It's Zaffi's Pride disputing the lead with Poetic Flare, closely followed by Erzan Jan. Slotting in into fourth place is Ontario, and then Star Image on the inside as they continue down the back straight. Inca Prince on the outside of Mexico City. As the 7 runners head just outside of 5, and little to choose between Poetic Flare, Zaffi's Pride and an improving Inca Prince. These 3 in a line, followed by Ontario, Erzan Jan, Star Image, and the back marker coming across towards the 4 mark is Mexico City. Inca Prince and Chris Hayes pick it up, followed by Poetic Flare and Kevin Manning on the inside of Ontario, who's taking closer order for Shamie Heffernan around the outside, and then comes Zaffi's Pride, Erzan Jan, Star Image in Mexico City as they pass the halfway stage with less than 3 to go in the Killavullan Stakes. Ontario, dark blue jacket on the outside, joins issue with Inca Prince and Poetic Flare. These 3 straighten up, not much between them, and then Zaffi's Pride, Erzan Jan, Star Image and Mexico City. Racing on to the final furlong and a half, and Poetic Flare has gone for home. Opens up a couple of lengths advantage. Erzan Jan is on the outside of her, running on Zaffi's Pride, then Ontario. But inside the final furlong, clear of the field, is Poetic Flare from Zaffi's Pride, and then comes Erzan Jan. Mexico City stays on late, but Poetic Flare is picking back up winning ways for Kevin Manning and Jim Bulger in the Killavullan Stakes. Second, Zaffi's Pride. Third, Mexico City. Erzan Jan in fourth.
And Poetic Flare wins 3-1. Chucked in at the deep end off a break last time, but this Son of Dawn approach has taken the Killavullan Stakes over 7 furlongs. Wins quite nicely as well. Poetic Flare, the winner at Leopardstown.
All 12 colts locked away. And they're off. Very level break in the Ballylynch stud. Red Rocks 2000 Guineas tri-listed stakes over 7 furlongs. It's Charterhouse, the first to show in front, being followed by Case of You, Snap Rayteria. Poetic Flare in between horses, followed on settling down by Horoscope and Magnanimous. Manasib next with Laws of Indices. On the inside is Merchant's Key, alongside a stable companion Matchless, the blue cap. Couple of lengths to Ace Aussie and Notre Belle Bet at the back of the field. 4.5 furlongs to go, and Snap Rayteria has moved to the front. Shane Cross being followed by Poetic Flare and Kevin Manning. Smart winners of the Killavullan here when last seen. Charterhouse is close up. Robbie Colgan on the inside of A Case of You, and Ronan Whelan in the grey and orange. Then Magnanimous and Horoscope, Manasib, Laws of Indices next as they come inside halfway. Niggled along behind them is Matchless, then Merchant's Key, Ace Aussie and Notre Belle Bet remains the back marker. Turning into the straight, just over 2 furlongs to go. Snap Rayteria holding on to a very small advantage. Challenging is Poetic Flare. Manasib begins a run on the the outside of A Case of You, and they're being followed by Charterhouse and Magnanimous striking the front inside the final furlong. Poetic Flare chased by Manasseh. Magnanimous is next, racing into the last half furlong. It's Poetic Flare in front as they go towards the line. Poetic Flare picks up where he left off last year, with Ace Aussie coming from out of the group to get up for second ahead of Manasseh.
Yes, Poetic Flare wins for Jim Bulger in the colours of his wife Jackie Bulger, in the victory by Kevin Manning. And a lot to talk about in this race. Good performance. There was no hiding place. They went a right good gallop, didn't they?
And they're away and racing. And Naval Crown broke out smartly with Poetic Flare and Devil Waller over on the far side in the White Cat. One Ruler is tracking them on the far side too. Is Lucky Vega with Mutasabek in about 6th place early on, tracked by Wembley. And then behind those is Thunder Moon with on the near side in the Blue Cap Battleground. Further back in the field, Van Gogh, Chindit and Mystery Smiles is towards the rear of the field. Legion of Honour towards the far side as well, as Naval Crown leads the way at a swinging gallop by about a half length to Devil Waller in second. Poetic Flare going up to dispute third with One Ruler. They're followed by Lucky Vega on the far side. Mutasabek making ground down the near side is Battleground in the blue cap worn by Frankie Dettori. They're followed by Wembley and Van Gogh and Legion of Honour, and then Thunder Moon held up behind runners. Chindit's on the near side. Still out the back is Mystery Smiles. Quite a few riders begin to work on their mounts. Naval Crown still setting the pace. One Ruler is driven along, so too Poetic Flare. And now on the near side, Mutasabek now flat to the boards as they race on inside the final quarter mile. Naval Crown still leads the way from Poetic Flare. There follows on the far side Master of the Seas, picking up well in the all blue jacket. Lucky Vega has a chance as well, and these four are pulling clear now as they meet the rising ground. Master of the Seas on the far side of Poetic Flare, then Naval Crown weakening. Lucky Vega, the three on the far side. Poetic Flare and Master of the Seas head to head racing for the line. Master of the Seas far side, Master of the Seas, Poetic Flare in a photo, probably in that order. Lucky Vega, and then back in fourth, Naval Crown holding on well.
That is close. That is close. The photo finish has officially been called. Let's have a look at the run to the line. It's head up, head down. On the far side, number 7, Master of the Seas. On the near side, number 12, Poetic Flare.
Near side?
Yeah, on the line, I think so. Nose down at the right time.
They're off. In the 100 running of the Tattersalls Irish 2000 Guineas over 1 mile, and in the early stages it's Max Sweeney in the grey jacket showing the way to Emporio as they settle down heading for the elbow. They're closely followed by Poetic Flare, and away to the right is Rebel Step in the stripes. Slotting in and behind the leaders in the blue cap is Van Gogh, and Lucky Vega tracking them as they come round the elbow. And it is Max Sweeney and Rory Cleary cutting out the running from Emporio, Rebel Step, and they're followed by Van Gogh, and right in behind them is Poetic Flare and La Barossa. And these are being followed by Agrimony, the red hat in between horses. Manasseh is towards the back with Wembley and the Rostafarian at the rear of the field. They've passed the halfway stage and all coming right of centre with just over 3 to go. They're beginning to close up. It's Max Sweeney just in front from Rebel Step, Poetic Flare, Emporio. On the far side is Van Gogh, then Manasseh, Agrimony and Wembley, and then Lucky Vega and the Rostafarian racing towards the final 2 furlongs, and it's Max Sweeney challenged by Van Gogh. On the far side is La Barossa with Poetic Flare, and then Emporio. Manasseh is next. They're racing to the final furlong and a half, spread across the track. It's Max Sweeney attempting to fight him off one by one. Poetic Flare on the near side. The far side is Van Gogh. Jim Bulger has the winning of it. It's Max Sweeney on the far side of Poetic Flare. Max Sweeney and Rory Cleary. A special day. Max Sweeney makes all in the Tattersalls Irish 2000 Guineas, beating stable companion Poetic Flare. Van Gogh next.
What a special day for Jim Bulger. 1-2 in the Irish Guineas, and it's Max Sweeney bouncing.
They're off. They race away then a mile on the round course as they get into their stride. Namus and Ontario, Poetic Flare and Maximal, some of the best away. Lucky Vega behind those at this early stage. Thunder Moon in red and yellow at the back of the field. Wembley and the grey Highland Avenue also towards the rear as Ontario leads. A red jacket Namus in second, about a length and a half away in white. Poetic Flare running in third. A white cap, green jacket Lucky Vega with Battleground is rather keen in blue and orange. Mustardaf right next to him in blue and white colours, and then Chindid is behind Wembley. La Barossa together with this at this stage. Highland Avenue's the back marker. La Barossa in company with him, and Maximal green and pink colours is halfway down the field, but Ontario has skipped clear as they go past the 4 furlong marker. That was halfway, leads by 5 lengths. Namus in second place, Poetic Flare behind him running in third, and then Mustardaf on the running rail narrowly in fourth place over the green and white colours of Lucky Vega. Battleground between those. Maximal, Wembley, Chindit, Bullis behind those, and then Thunder Moon as they level up for home. On the right is the grey Highland Avenue. La Barossa behind that. Now they get past the early pace setter. Namus leading 2. Poetic Flare and the white and purple is posed to the question. Mustardaf short of room against the running rail. Maximal coming down the centre with a challenge. Lucky Vega still there as well, but it is Poetic Flare who has shot clear inside the final furlong here with Kevin Manning, leading by 3 lengths to Lucky Vega. Battleground, Maximal behind those. He's been busy, he's very talented, he's very tough. Poetic Flare has won in great style. Lucky Vega just second to Battleground. Maximal chinned it behind. They're off. They race away as they leave the starting stalls against the running rail Order of Australia with next to him Poetic Flare. Century Dream in green colours runs prominently. Caught out wide is Alcohol Free. She's just preceded by Tilsit with the pink cap. Then Lope Fernandez, a white cap ahead of the grey Snow Lantern. She's just in front of Duhale, and Space Traveller is at the rear of the field. So they settle down. Ryan Moore on Order of Australia leads to James Doyle, the green jacket on Century Dream in second place. Kevin Manning on Poetic Flare is in third place. On the right, Tilsit, Kieran Schumacher, pink cap. Against the running rail, Lope Fernandez, a white cap for Frankie Dettori, and then Ashim Murphy on Alcohol Free. Caught up on the outside of the grey, Snow Lantern and Jamie Spencer. Duhale and Jim Crowley is next, and then as they come to the halfway point into the straight, Space Traveller and Danny Toto at the back markers. Century Dream is committed for home and gone on here. Leads by over a length now to Ward of Australia in second place. Poetic Flare coming through to try and take second position, but having a bit of trouble to do so. Till sits behind those. Then comes Lope Fernandez. Alcohol Free being brought down the centre of the course, but it's the green jacket of Century Dream. Here is Poetic Flare to join him. Alcohol Free putting in her challenge. Order of Australia and Lope Fernandez are the next pair at the furlong pole. It's the white jacket of Poetic Flare, but nearest to us, Alcohol Free. The filly has gone through to take it up in the closing stages. Tight between them. Alcohol Free has a very narrow advantage to Poetic Flare. Alcohol Free and Ashim Murphy have won the Qatar Sussex. Poetic Flare in second. Snow Lantern behind those in third. Duhale and Order of Australia the next.
They're off. In the Irish Champion Stakes, 1.25 miles in front of the 4, and it's the outsider Patrick Sarsfield who takes them along from Poetic Flare, St Mark's Basilica, and dropped in last of the quartet Star filly Tarnawa as they make their way towards the mile point, and it's Patrick Sarsfield and Declan McDonough racing on by 2.5 lengths to Poetic Flare and Kevin Manning, who's followed by St Mark's Basilica and Ryan Moore. The back marker is Tarnawa and Colin Keane. Good spaces between the 4 runners with a little over 7 furlongs to go. Order unchanged is Patrick Sarsfield showing the way to Poetic Flare, who's racing beyond a mile for the first time in his career. And then St Mark's Basilica with the back marker Tarnawa. A little over 6 furlongs to go, continuing down the back straight in the Irish Champion Stakes. And the leader is Patrick Sarsfield, followed by Poetic Flare, and third is St Mark's Basilica. Unbeaten this season, St Mark's Basilica is tracked closely by Tarnawa. Reaching the 5, the halfway stage as they turn out of the back. Patrick Sarsfield by 3.5 lengths to Poetic Flare. A couple of lengths off them in third place is St Mark's Basilica, and Tarnawa remains last of the 4. Half a mile from the finish. Still in the same order since they left the stalls. Patrick Sarsfield, followed by Poetic Flare, St Mark's Basilica in the purple and white jacket, stoked by Ternawa. Racing on towards the 3, and it's Patrick Sarsfield with a slightly reduced advantage over Poetic Flare, St Mark's Basilica and Ternawa, the 3 with multiple Group 1 races between them, who track into the straight. Patrick Sarsfield straightening up for home, just over 2 to go. Patrick Sarsfield from Poetic Flare inching closer. St Mark's Basilica down the outside is Ternawa. Patrick Sarsfield gives best, falls out, and it is Poetic Flare, St Mark's Basilica. Ternawa's on the outside, they're inside the final furlong, and it's St Mark's Basilica, Poetic Flare and Ternawa, the spread across the track. St Mark's Basilica on the near side of Poetic Flare and Ternawa in a classic Irish Champion Stakes. St Mark's Basilica completes a magnificent array of Group 1 victories in the Irish Champion Stakes for Ryan Moore and Aidan O'Brien.
Well, what a marvellous race. Sometimes these big contests don't live up to their billing and you're left coming away from the race maybe with a sense of what might have been, but